There has been no confirmed deaths that the Iranian government has executed people so far during this wave of protests in Iran. We now move on to our next story and stay in the Middle Eastern region. And according to reports, Israel has vowed to enforce a ban on 37 international NGOs operating in Gaza after they failed to meet new security and transparency rules. The Diaspora Affairs Ministry announced that these organizations must cease all operations by March the 1st. The government introduced the regulations last year requiring NGOs to provide detailed information on all foreign and Palestinian staff, including passports and personal IDs. They also had to disclose their funding sources and operational structures. Israel says the measures aim to prevent operatives from infiltrating humanitarian organizations. Authorities warned that licenses will be suspended for those who fail to comply. The United Nations and other international bodies have criticized the rules, saying that they could worsen the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Some NGOs have even argued that the requirements violate international humanitarian law. Israel has defended the regulations, insisting that they are necessary for security, while the 37 NGOs now face the formal revocation of their licenses. Dr. Navon joins us once again. Of course, this deadline ends today, Dr. Navon, in regards to these 37 organizations re-registering. However, Israel does say that this ban is about vetting security, but the United Nations says this puts hundreds of thousands of civilians in immediate risk across Gaza and the West Bank as well. Is Israel effectively weaponizing bureaucracy in the middle of a humanitarian emergency, particularly, of course, when it comes to the Gaza Strip?
No, it is not. Israel is taking necessary measures against NGOs that have been proven to hire Hamas terrorists. Since the war started over 2 years ago, Israel has amassed evidence and produced that evidence to the UN and to those NGOs that many of them hired Hamas terrorists. And what Israel is doing is simply common sense. If you want to operate in the Gaza Strip, show us that you're not hiring terrorists and that you're not being funded by terrorist regimes. That is pure common sense. By the way, those NGOs, the 37 NGOs, which only provide about 1% of the humanitarian aid into Gaza, that doesn't make a big difference. There's a huge amount of trucks entering Gaza every day provided by Israel. So those NGOs, those 37 NGOs, only provide a very, very small fraction of that humanitarian aid. And the fact that they had 10 months to disclose their payroll and whether or not they're hiring terrorists, and they didn't do it. They had 10 months to comply. They didn't do it. That says a lot about the fact that they want to hide something. What they want to hide is the fact that they still have a lot of terrorists on their payrolls. And instead of whining in the international media, they should disclose their links to terrorists, which unfortunately they've been refusing to do.
Dr. Navon, some of these humanitarian organizations include MSF, otherwise known as Doctors Without Borders, the World Vision International, CARE, Oxfam, and the Norwegian Refugee Council. What concrete evidence does Israel have that these NGOs or their staff are linked to terrorism?
Médecins Sans Frontières has been hiring a few Hamas terrorists. It's been documented by Kogat. If you can look it on their website, on their Twitter account. Kogat is the authority, Israeli authority that operates in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria and the West Bank. So Médecins Sans Frontières has been caught red-handed hiring Hamas activists and terrorists. And that has been documented. And this is why Médecins Sans Frontières has not been allowed to renew its activity there.
And for the likes of Oxfam, can you cite any publicly verified sources when it comes to them, as you say, organizing and hiring Hamas terrorists?
This has been also documented. I invite you to look at the research, the very good research done by NGO Monitor. Oxfam is an NGO and it has been looked at by NGO Monitor. NGO Monitor has exposed the very deep ties between Oxfam and terrorist organization, the fact that they've let Hamas terrorists and operatives infiltrate their activity and their organization. It's all been documented, and I invite you to look at the research of NGO Monitor.
Dr. Navon, thank you very much for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you on these issues. We move on now for our next story. And around